This is a Tesla Model Y, and in this video I'm just going to talk about rattles, particularly rattles from the rear. So I'm in the UK, and until last month all of the UK right-hand drive models came from Shanghai, and they're much better built cars than the American cars, and they don't tend to suffer from rattles as much as some of the others I've seen online. But anyway, I have had a rattle in this, and this car is now 6 months old and has done 10,000 miles. 90% of the viewers of this channel are not subscribed. I'm sorry to ask, but it would help greatly if you would. Just press the subscribe button. It's free and it shows YouTube you like this sort of vehicle related content. If you want to be notified when new videos are released, please click on the bell button also. Thank you, it really helps more than you would imagine. So let's go through all the things you need to check. The most common cause of rattles in the back of your car are the seatbelt buckles. And if you haven't got your seatbelt in the right place, that buckle there can rattle against the plastic. So just make sure your seatbelts are correctly in the right place and the buckle's not touching that. And if you want to eliminate the seatbelts, then the best thing to do is to buckle them in, go for a drive, and then you can find out whether the seatbelt is the cause of your rattle. You can buy an accessory which holds the seatbelt across the latch there and keeps it in the right place, but I haven't bothered, and personally I just make sure the seatbelts are like that and they haven't rattled in my car. The other thing to check is that it's not your stuff in the car rattling. So check what's in the door pockets, in the center console, on the floor, and also in the boot. I normally chuck my keys in the tray here in the center console, and it's those keys that rattle, not the car. And that's also why I've left a rubber band there, and I usually have a couple of rubber bands there, and that stops the keys from rattling when I chuck them in that compartment there. However, I have experienced a rattle in this car. Well, it's not really a rattle, it's more of a creaking noise, and that happens when I'm driving on rough rural B roads, but not all the time. But it is very much a sort of a creak, and it was coming from the hatchback. So what many people will say is you need to lubricate the rubbers to solve this issue. And you can use a product like silicone spray or a rubber lubricant and lubricate the rubbers, and these rubbers along the side of the boot lid there. And people say that stops it, but I've got these products, as you can see. I've tried multiple times and it hasn't made a scrap of difference for me. So when you have that creaking problem, the solution is you adjust the bump stops, and there's 4 in total. One there, and the same on the other side. And these push down there, and of course the same on this side. So when I had this problem on my vehicle, I ended up taking it into a Tesla service centre because it was under warranty, and I had adjusted these bump stops. But clearly I hadn't adjusted them enough, and what they did was just adjusted them further. And what you do is you adjust them out, and then that puts more pressure on the boot lid. When the boot lid is latched down, that's putting more force on there, and that stops the boot lid from creaking. So when it went into Tesla, they did that, problem was solved. But what I found was there was a lot of pressure on that latch. So when you released it, there's quite a pop because there's a lot of force on there. So when it came back, I didn't really like that, and I thought, well, they've got these adjusted too much, so I slackened them off a little bit, and then consequently the creaking came back. So over the weeks I've been adjusting these a little bit at a time to the point where the creaking stops, but then there's not too much pressure on that latch. The issue is, though, it changes depending on the temperature as well, and obviously on the type of road you're driving on. So I can go for many days and this doesn't creak, and then one day it will creak a little bit. And it's always sod's law. It always happens when I've got passengers in the vehicle, and if you've got passengers sitting at the back, they're going to hear it more than maybe I do as a driver. But anyway, just a small adjustment on each will do, and just do them all equally, and then just keep trying it. and that will solve the creaking. So the next issue is what you might have just seen there. It's your rear number plate, and these Tesla number plate frames can also rattle. So this one I don't think rattles while I drive, but it certainly rattles when the boot is opened and shut. So at some point I'm going to take the frame away and just stick the number plate straight on the car, or maybe just stick them straight on the back plate and get rid of the front frame. But anyway, it's known that some of these can be loose. Even when the vehicle's new, they're just screwed on. So if you've got a rattle that's very much at the back of the car, just check your number plate frames. If you've got a rattle that you can hear inside the car, from under the seats or under the center console or somewhere more so at the front, the other thing to check is that it's not something that has fallen into the air ducts under the seats. So I've got my driver's seat all the way forward and all the way up, and then you can see these air ducts, and as you can see I've got a fabric grille over those. I've also got quite a lot of dirt there that needs vacuuming up, but anyway, as standard these grills are open, and stones, sweets, pens or any rubbish, particularly if you've got kids at the back, can end up falling into those plastic ducts, and those ducts go under the carpet and through to the heating system, and it only takes a small stone off your shoe to get in that duct, and it will rattle while you're driving because it's just a plastic bit of ducting. But if stuff gets in there, you cannot get it out. Well, it's incredibly difficult to get stuff out. So one vital accessory you should be buying for your Tesla is these grills. You can get plastic rigid snap-on grills, or in this case these are a fabric mesh that is just held on with Velcro. I've got a separate video about those on the channel if you want to learn more. So some Tesla owners have had issues with trim rattles. That's usually the clips that hold the plastic down. Sometimes it can rattle up in the back of the hatch here, but as I said, I don't think UK owners are really experiencing that, or haven't seen much of it. That tends to be from the earlier American made cars rather than the European or Chinese vehicles. But anyway, I think I've covered the things you need to look out for, and I'll keep this video short, so that will do. So if you found it useful, please do click the thumbs up as always. Do subscribe to the channel, and if you want to know more about the Tesla Model Y, I'll put a link below to a playlist where you can see other videos I've made. Okie doke, I'll see you on the next one.